Jewish Insights with Justin Pines on JBS is made possible in part by the clubs at Pearl River, New York, luxury rental communities for ages 55 and better, now leasing Phase 3 at the Reserve, and the B.L. Manger Foundation. This special series of Jewish Insights on Pnimiyut HaTorah, the inner wisdom of Torah, in celebration of Shavuot, is brought to you in part by Share.
There's an inner rhythm pulsating beneath the surface. It whispers ancient truths, guiding the curious, the seekers and the dreamers towards something deeper, something timeless, something inside us all. Welcome to Pnimiyut, the inner dimension. Welcome to Share. We founded Share to bring the Torah's deepest wisdom to life, providing a home for holistic and inspired living. We know that we need to meet people exactly where they're at every stage of their journey. This is why we partner with established organizations and dynamic entrepreneurs through 5 core channels to share this wisdom. We believe the future of Pnimiyut lies in the hands of those who live it, learn it, and teach it. That's why we are dedicated to amplifying the voices of scholars and nurturing and empowering the next generation of leaders. Learning is at the heart of everything we do. Our goal is to equip schools, organizations, and educators alike with the tools they need to share this meaningful content with their students and community. The digital world has democratized education, offering connections in unprecedented ways. From dazzling masterclasses to cinematic productions, from short-form bursts of wisdom to thought-provoking conversations, we are blending high-quality production with compelling storytelling to share Pnimiyut teachings across the world. Nothing can replace an authentic encounter with a written word. Our publications aim to unlock the most profound Pnimiyut texts for the curious mind. The goal of Pnimiyut is to enhance our actual lives, whether it's connecting deeply at immersive retreats or sparking creativity through our gatherings and summits. Each experience leaves a lasting impact. Share's vision is for a world where the teachings of Pnimiyut guide every moment of one's life. This is more than a mission, it's a movement. And the moment for this movement is now. As the Zohar says, one day, even children will understand the simplicity of the hidden wisdom that will be revealed to everyone. Welcome to Share. Welcome to the inner dimension.
Shalom and welcome to Jewish Insights. As we journey from Pesach to Shavuot, from freedom of the Exodus story to the revelation at Mount Sinai, Har Sinai, we count 49 days of the Omer, a sacred time in the Jewish calendar dedicated to reflection and spiritual growth. In this spirit, I invite you to join us for a new series exploring Pnimiyut HaTorah, the inner, hidden wisdom of Torah. This dimension of Torah invites us beneath the surface, into the soul of our tradition. I want to thank our friends at Share, a community dedicated to enriching modern lives through ancient wisdom, for partnering with us and supporting this series. Share's mission is to inspire and enable a spiritually infused life, a life where the wisdom of Jewish teachings transforms hearts, minds, and actions. You can learn more about Share at share.fund. So to help us begin this journey, I'm honored to welcome back to the show Rabbi Zev Reichman, beloved teacher, author, and together with his wife Chana, the spiritual leader of our East Hill community in Englewood, New Jersey. Rabbi Reichman uniquely combines a deep understanding of both the revealed and mystical dimensions of Jewish thought, and perhaps more importantly, he models how to live a life shaped by those teachings. You may remember Rabbi Reichman from this time last year, when he inspired us with his insights into the life and thought of Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, one of the towering figures of religious Zionism. Today, we'll explore why the Omer is such a powerful time for inner work, what Pnimiyut HaTorah, the theme of this series, truly means, and how the timeless teachings of Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, one of the most soulful, radical, and spiritually urgent voices in our tradition, can guide and inspire us today, both as individuals and as a people. Rabbi Reichman, welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's a real delight to be here.
It's really a treat for me. I love learning from you as always, and it's a treat for me to share learning with you with the larger audience at JBS.
I don't feel like I am teaching. I feel like this is a chavruta. We're learning together. It's really thrilling.
And I'll mention that this my excitement to do this topic grew out of joining your chabura on Rabbi Nachman of Breslov in your home, which was amazing, and which I learned so much from. And so I was like, we got to share this out. So first, before we get to Rabbi Nachman, I mentioned this time of the Omer. That's the season we're in right now. 49 days from the second day of Passover until the receiving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And this is a time that's kind of associated with exploring inner wisdom. Say a little bit about what the Omer is and how it became this kind of mystical focus on inner truth, inner wisdom, inner growth.
Beautiful. So we have a mitzvah in the Torah that on the second day of Passover, a special sacrifice would be donated by the nation in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. That sacrifice was a certain amount of barley flour, an omer worth of barley flour, hence the name Omer. Mm-hmm. But what was unique about the sacrifice was that it was the first barley harvest of the year. Farmers would plant in the winter, things would grow. The first harvest of the year was to take a little bit of this barley flour, a little bit of the barley, turn it into flour, bring it up to Jerusalem, and offer it as an offering on the altar in the temple. That would permit the ingestion of the grains. So grains that grew in the winter are permitted by the offering of the Omer, which begins a period of 7 weeks. The Torah tells us that on the morrow after the first day of Pesach, the day after the Shabbat, the day of the bringing of the Omer, count. Usfartem lachem imachrata Shabbat. Count for yourselves after the Shabbos 50 days. Sheva Shabbatot mimot tiyena. Count 7 complete weeks. 7 complete weeks, 49 days. This is the mitzvah of counting the Omer. The Torah told us, Usfartem lachem. Count for yourselves. Fascinatingly, on the 50th day, after the beginning of the count, we have another holiday, the holiday of Shavuot. And the holiday of Shavuot also has an offering of some new grain. It's not the new barley, it's the new wheat. The new wheat is used to offer sacrifice in the temple, the Shtei HaLechem sacrifice. Very similar to the Minchat HaOmer. We have Minchat HaOmer on Pesach, and then 7 weeks later on the 50th day, Shtei HaLechem on Shavuot. We begin with barley, and we end with wheat. In Talmudic times and in biblical times, barley was animal feed. Wheat is what humans eat. There's a lesson there. This is a time to transition from being like an animal to being like a human. An animal is unredeemed. The animal is instinctual. If the animal is hungry, he'll drink or eat. The animal carries out whatever his impulse and urge drives him to. A human being has the power to restrain urges, to choose to do what's right and not what's convenient, to do what's moral. And our job during these 7 weeks is to transform ourselves from people of Omer to people of Shtei HaLechem. And so the way we do that is through counting each day, and more significantly, making each day count. Changing ourselves, improving ourselves, elevating ourselves to be worthy of receiving the Torah, to be worthy of receiving the revelation. And so this time is a time to work on ourselves, and hence the importance of inner work and character development during this time.
Beautiful. And I'll say, I know alongside that, something that's I've learned about later in life is there's kind of like Kabbalistic associations for each day. Like each week has a characteristic, and then each day, so there becomes a combo. Just say a little bit about that.
That's a very, very important point. According to Kabbalistic thought, really, who are we to say anything about God? God is infinite. and we are finite. God has no end. We all have an end. We have our limits. We can't stay awake forever. We can't read every book in the library. We have limits, but God is unlimited. So how could the limited say anything about the unlimited? We're in different worlds. God, to enable us to connect with him and to enable a limited world, chose to emanate from himself, to give off of his light, limited lights. And these limited lights are referred to as the sfirot. Sfirot means the godly, bounded lights of divinity. Think of the Hebrew word sphere, or safa, the root is samach bei resh, has many associations with it. A sfar is a border. Sipur is a story. Sefer is a book. Sapir is a glistening, beautiful stone, one of the stones on the breastplate. Nofech, sapir, v'yahalom. And all of these...
Sorry, and on that, isn't Sfirat to Omer, is that the same
Well, there's
root?
a connection there, right?
Right,
But
right.
Sfirat here means to count.
Right.
Lispor is to count. But the Sfirot are the mechanism through which the Almighty, who is infinite, interacts with a limited world. It's the mechanism through which he downgraded his light so that the light would become this limited world. He emanated off of himself a light, but limited it a bit. And from that light came another light, which was limited a little bit more. And from there, another light limited a bit more. And then another light limited a bit more. And another light limited a bit more. And the pattern of these limitations has 10 steps to it. These are the 10 sfirot, the 10 limited lights of divinity. Now, because the light is limited, it has a border, it has a sfar. Because the light is limited, we, limited beings, can describe it and can talk about it. We can tell a sipur. Because the light is limited, but it's divine, it's sapir, it's glowing, it's radiant, it's infinite. There's life there. The world was created through 10 statements, according to the Gemara. That's another way of saying the 10 sfirot. Because what is speech? Speech is breath, which is limited. I take my breath and I limit it into particular sounds to make a ts sound or a ch sound or a h sound. I combine these sounds and I come up with words. So speech is basically limited breath. If a person can't breathe, they can't talk. Speech is limited breath. Breath is life. Life that God gave us is through God breathing into us. So when the Talmud uses the image that God made the world through 10 statements, he said, let there be light, and there was light. He said, let the earth retreat, and let the waters, retreat, and the earth appears. The statements of creation in the first chapter of Genesis is, in another sense, 10 limited lights of the divine. Because a person's essence, their life, is their breath, and God has given some of his essence. He's limited his essence to create the world. That's the sfirot. It's another way of expressing the idea of the Talmud, that God made the world through 10 statements. Okay. Now, if you look at the 10 statements, there's a divide between the first 3 and the final 7. Let's go to Genesis. If we look in Genesis, the very first statement is really not even expressed. The Talmud says, in the beginning is a statement. There's an implied statement. The second statement is, and God said, let there be light. Rashi tells us, Jewish tradition tells us, that the light of the first day of creation is not the light that we are familiar with. Because our light comes from the sun, which was created on the 4th day of creation. So what's the light of the first day of creation? So the Talmud, Jewish tradition, says that the light of the first day of creation is a heavenly light, which God said the world doesn't deserve, and he hid it away for the righteous. It's hidden for the future.
Wow.
So that's not part of this world.
Okay.
And the first statement, which isn't even expressed, isn't part of this world. And so the third statement of creation, of the 10 statements of creation, is, and God said, let there be a divide between the waters above and the waters below. And he named the division between the waters above and the waters below the firmament, the rakia, the heavens, the shamayim. Again, that's not this world, that's shamayim, that's the heavens. Our world really starts with the 4th statement, when God said, let the waters retreat and the earth appear. So our world is from the 4th statement through the 10th statement. The 10 statements of creation, or the 10 sfirot, are found all over the world. When you see God sending rain to the world, God's giving life. That's the statement of kindness, the sphere of chesed, of God giving life to the world. The 10 sfirot, all 10, find expression in a human being, because the human being is called in the Torah a tselem Elokim. God said, I'm going to make man in my image. The human being is in the image of the whole creation. So a human being has elements within the human being that correspond to the first 3 statements, and elements that correspond to the subsequent 7. The first 3 statements within the human being are manifest in the parts of the intellect, Chachma, Bina, and Da'at. The subsequent 7 are manifest in the human being in the character traits of a human being. This is Sfirat HaOmer. We have 7 weeks. The 7 weeks are the times for us to work on the subsequent 7, to work on what's most relevant to this world, the 7 lower sfirot as they are expressed in the human personality. And so the first week is the week to work on chesed. The second week for gvura, the third week for tiferet, the 4th for netzach, the 5th for hod, the 6th for yesod, and the 7th for malchut.
And my gut is to ask you to translate them, but I also know they're not simple translations. For those who don't follow, they're unique words that mean more than just the Hebrew word, correct?
Beautiful. So let's start with the first week.
Okay.
The first week is the week to work on the idea and the principle of chesed, to have loving kindness, to be people of loving kindness. So loving kindness at its core is the desire to give a piece of myself out and into others, to do for others, to be generous towards others. If we think of the first of the patriarchs, it's our father Abraham, who loved to welcome guests. He was circumcised at age 99, and on the 3rd day, when it's most painful, he sat outside in the blazing sun, searching for a guest to welcome into his tent. That's the paradigm of kindness, of giving, of doing for others. That's the pillar that we start the first week on. The first week is Pesach, because Pesach, we began Sfirat HaOmer on the 2nd day of Pesach. So the first week of Sfirat HaOmer overlaps with Pesach. Pesach is the time when God showed us tremendous kindness. The book that we read on Pesach is Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. It's the book of the unbelievable love that God has for his nation and that his nation has for him. And here's, I think, what I would want to suggest is the most important takeaway from this session. In the spiritual realm, there's tremendous unity. Jews believe that there's one God. We don't believe that there's any power that's independent of God. It's not like God is the source of good, but there's some other power who's the source of bad, and there's a struggle between God and this power. That's already duality. We believe in monotheism, only one God. We believe that everything comes from God, the good and that which is not revealed good. But it all comes from God. Everything comes from God. And so the more you connect to God and the more spiritual you are, the more you'll be finding unity. Because God's all about unity. And you'll find more and more points of commonality, more points of bringing people together, bringing ideas together, bringing experiences together. And so when we talk of 7 subsequent sfirot, or the 7 lower sfirot, there's each one of them has qualities of every other one in it. So we don't have just one day for kindness. We have a week for kindness. The first day is the day of kindness. And the second day is the day of heroic restraint within kindness. And the third day is the day of tiferet shebechesed, the beautiful balance within kindness. And the fourth day is netzach shebechesed, the day of dominance within kindness. And the fifth day is the day of hod shebechesed, empathy within kindness. And the sixth day is yesod shebechesed, meaning this tremendous balance and vivaciousness and life within kindness. And then the seventh day is malchut shebechesed, the acceptance of sovereignty, of God as sovereign within kindness. And then we go to the next week, which is, the primary theme is gevura. Gevura is the opposite of chesed. Chesed is giving, kindness, putting myself into others. The opposite of giving of myself into others is to withdraw from others, is to pull away and pull into myself and not want to share with anybody else. The word in Hebrew for cruelty, the opposite of chesed, is achzar. Achzar is really two words. Ach, zar, only a stranger, only alienated, only distant from somebody else. So the week of Gevura, the week of heroic restraint, the ability to pull in, also is 7 days. So the first day of the Gevura week would be Chesed Shebegvura. There's a kindness within restraint. And then the second day would be Gvura Shebegvura, the restraint of the restraint. And the third day is Tiferet Shebegvura, the balance within restraint. And the fourth day is Netzach Shebegvura, the dominance within restraint. And the fifth day is Hod Shebegvura, the empathy within restraint. And then we have Yesod Shebegvura, and then Malchut Shebegvura. And then we move on to the next, to Tiferet. And again, we have every sphera within the sphera of Tiferet, the component parts, because there's tremendous unity.
Beautiful. Let me ask a couple short and medium follow-ups. So you said Chesed was Abraham. Gvura is Isaac, Yitzchak.
Yes.
And
the greatness of Isaac, his greatest moment, was being bound on the altar in Jerusalem and willing to give up his life. Being bound, he's tied with ropes. He's pulling in. That image is an image of restraint. Think of Pirkei Avot, Ezehu Gibor. Who is the really heroic hero? Is it the man who conquered the city? No. HaKovesh et Yitzro, the one who conquers his own urges, restrains himself.
Willing to, so it's almost like Chesed is like overflowing love or kindness towards another, let's say, and Gevura is an element of I'm willing to sacrifice everything for a higher purpose, I guess, for God. Is it more God-focused than other person-focused?
Gevura is the willingness to pull back and knowing how to pull back and having the strength to pull back. It takes real strength. Now, you might ask, doesn't it take strength to give? So I once heard a wonderful thought from my teacher, the Stechina Rebbe. He said, creation was God-giving. The opposite of creation is pulling in. It takes strength to go against that. It takes strength to pull back.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and then I'll just to give us one last example, and then we'll go to the next piece of this. My son, Murray, Hillel Moshe Mechul, as you know, you were at his bris. He was born on Lamed Bet, the 32nd day of the Omer, the day before Lag BaOmer. What's his, I don't know if you call it a Kabbalistic sign, but what's his day and what's the meaning behind that?
Wow, so it's an awesome day because Lamed Bet is Lev, heart, and we can take the 49 days of the Omer. 49 can be broken into two parts, 32 and 17. So 32 is Lev. See, in Hebrew, every letter has a numeric value. So Aleph, the first letter, is 1, and Bet is 2. So Bet is 2, Lamed is 30, so Lamed Bet is 32, the 32nd day of the Omer, which leaves us with another 17 days to go. The numeric gematria of the word Tov, good, is 17. So the Omer, right, these 49 days are time for us to work on our attributes, on our character. The whole goal is to develop Lev Tov, to be people of good heart. He's born on the day of completion of that first half of Lev.
Wow.
Lev Tov. That's the whole purpose, is to try to get to Lev Tov, to have a good heart. If a person has beautiful character traits, he or she gives generously and knows also how to hold back. Sometimes it's actually a kindness to hold back. If my child's awake and he's 3 years old, and he's awake at 11:30 at night, and he wants to stay awake with all the guests and all the excitement, but tomorrow he's going to be, a terror, to hold back and say, listen, I love you, but you got to go to sleep. That's the kindness. So there's the giving and the holding back. There's knowing how to balance both and to balance them in a beautiful, harmonious synthesis, which is Tiferet, which is the third week, and the fourth week is Netzach. Netzach refers to the ability to power through difficulties. We get hit with all sorts of difficulties in life. And do we work through them and overwhelm them? Do we have a truth which is so strong that we will impose that truth? We will give it over the way it is, and all resistance will melt in its way. That's to dominate. That's the fourth week. And the fifth week, which is the week of your son, is the week of Hod. Now, Hod is underneath Gvura. It's underneath restraint. It's a form of restraint. It's the restraint of pulling myself in order to give you space. As a teacher, and I have a class, I might throw out a question. I might have an answer in my head, but I want to hear from this student, I want to hear from that student. And I might now go in a new direction because of what these students have said. So I'm pulling in my truth to give them a chance to express themselves. That's Hod. The word Hod is connected to the word Hoda'ah. Hoda'ah means to give praise, to praise God, but also to admit, Lahodot, to admit to somebody else, you're right and I'm wrong. Sometimes as a teacher, it's important to be able to take a step back and admit to somebody. And that's really the message of the fifth week, to admit to God that God is the master. And also in our interactions with others, to know how to hold back and to give them space. I want to give charity, but maybe I have to listen to what that person really needs, not what I want to give. I might want to give them, a big piece of cake, but they're a diabetic. That's not the kindness. I have to hold myself back and hear from them. Maybe the gift for them is some vegetables and fruits. Right? You have to hold myself back. Hod is that ability to admit to somebody else, to pull in and give space for somebody else. And the fourth day of the week of Hod is the combination of Netzach and Hod. So that day, the 32nd day of the Omer, is the day of Netzach Shebahod. The Netzach quality, the quality of dominating, overwhelming, breaking through within the Hod, within the pulling in, within the pulling oneself in. A good example of Netzach and Hod, because we're talking about your son and his day is the day of Netzach and Hod, is Moshe and Aaron and the golden calf. So the Jewish people despair. Moses was supposed to be back after 40 days. They thought the 40th day was here. He's not there. They come to Aaron. They say, make for us a golden calf. And Aaron says, okay, but not now. Okay, come back tomorrow. They come back tomorrow. We're ready. Okay, go back home and get the gold from your wives and we'll think about it. We don't need to go back home. Here's the gold. We're taking off our own rings and our own jewelry. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to throw it into the fire. He throws it into the fire. Other people get involved. And out of the fire comes a golden calf. That's Aaron's approach. Moshe is up in heaven with God. God says, Moshe, your people have sinned. Moshe comes down, breaks the tablets, shatters the golden calf, goes out to kill the leaders of this terrible affront against God. Now, Aaron is a believer, Moshe is a believer. But these are two ways of how to deal with things. Moshe's way of dealing is dominance. The truth is so clear, and you're so off from the truth has to be imposed with full force. Aaron also accepts the truth. But instead of fighting with the people, he tries to say, I'm on your side, but. I'm really on your side, but. Let's wait till tomorrow. And hopefully by tomorrow, Moshe will be here. That's the empathy. That's the empathy of, I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. And because we're together, listen now to me. How did Aaron make peace? He goes to each fighter and says, I was with the guy who you were fighting with. I was with Shimon, who you don't talk to. Shimon feels so bad. He wishes that you would know how bad he feels. Goes to Shimon, Reuven feels so bad. He wishes you would know how bad he feels. He wants to apologize to you. You're really right, and then to create the peace. We have to try to balance both of these, to know when to dominate and when to strategically retreat. And that blend is your son's birthday. Netzach Shebahod.
Whoa.
The dominance within the retreat.
Beautiful. All right, I want to keep going, but we have so much more to discuss, but that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about Pnimiyut HaTorah. So this is a phrase that Cher uses, we use, we're using it for this series. How would you even translate the idea of Pnimiyut HaTorah? And just explain a little bit, what is Pnimiyut HaTorah?
So to me, Pnimiyut HaTorah is the inner Torah, the inner realm of Torah. When God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, he gave us a text. And with that text, he gave us many levels of understanding the text. Think of a person who has a field. From one perspective, this is a farm. I can plant seeds and I can get wheat out of it. If you dig deeper, you might find that actually there's some iron ore in this field. And if you dig even deeper, maybe there's some silver in this field. And even deeper, maybe there are diamonds within this field. And that's the nature of the Torah. There's a simple meaning of the Torah, the pshat. But then you can go deeper and deeper. And when you get to the deeper level, you get to the sod, the secrets. And the secrets, that's the Pnimiyut HaTorah. The secrets of the Torah are the inner essence of Torah. And if you ask me, well, what does that mean? That sounds like an adjective, it's inner, it's essence.
Sure.
What does that mean? I would tell you, it's the Torah of prophecy. If we think about what prophecy was, wow. When the Jews came out of Sinai to get to the land of Israel, we had prophets, and we had institutes to teach people how to become prophets. When King Shaul was anointed, he joins the Bnei HaNevi'im, the prophets in training. There were institutes. According to the Talmud in Masechet Megillah, there were 1.2 million prophets during the period of the First Temple. Wow. We haven't had prophets. But what we have is, I would say, the leftovers of prophecy, and that's the secrets of Torah. We haven't had prophets since the beginning of the Second Temple, but the secrets of Torah is the path towards prophecy. It's a way of connecting to Torah where Torah is all about God, all about godliness, and a deep, deep attachment to godliness, where the godliness is vivid, it's real, it's hopefully tangible, it's something that's invigorating. And I think, again, it's filled with unity. It's filled with a tremendous amount of finding points that are common that you wouldn't think there's anything in common between these points. The inner Torah is filled with a very deep unity.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's turn to Rebbe Nachman of Breslov. So very excited to discuss with you. Place him for us. Why is he such an important person in this field? Why is he such a central figure in the world of inner Torah in general? Who was he? Just a little bit of background, and then we'll talk about his impact.
So Rabbi Nachman lived in the late 1700s. This is the beginnings of the Hasidic movement. His great-grandfather was the founder of the Hasidic movement, Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. He lives in Tsarist Russia, Imperial Russia. He he was born in the Baal Shem Tov's town in Mezhibush. Today it's the Ukraine. As a young man, he actually traveled to Israel. He lived in Israel for a year. Came back to Russia. He was in Breslov. He was in a couple of other towns in Ukraine. And he had lived a very short life. He passed away at age 38. He had a lot of difficulties in his life. He lost his wife. His own health was challenged. He lost children in his life. He had a lot of, real challenges. And I think that something that's, it was disputes against him, big fights against him. I think something which is so special about Rabbi Nachman, a lot of things that are very special, but one of the very special emphases of Rabbi Nachman is the emphasis on happiness, on Simcha. It's so well known, his line where he said, mitzvah gedola liot b'simcha tamid. It's a great mitzvah to always be happy. And that's not, it's not in the Torah anywhere. You look at the Rambam, he has the list of 613 mitzvot. None of them is be happy all the time. I grew up going to Lithuanian-inspired educational institutions. They would criticize this line. They would say, it never says in the Torah, be happy all the time. My grandfather was a great, man to me. He was my grandfather. He was from Lithuania. I don't know that he would say he was happy all the time. A Lithuanian Jew was thoughtful, nuanced, very intellectual, and somewhat sad. They went through a lot of sadness.
Right.
And they had tremendous faith and tremendous loyalty to God. Rabbi Nachman had a lot of hardship, and he said, be happy all the time. It's amazing. It's an amazing perspective. It's a radical perspective. A lot of the things that Rabbi Nachman said were fierce. I heard from my teacher, Moshe Wolfson, that he heard from Rav Shraga Feivel Mendelevich, his teacher. He said each of the great Hasidic rabbis had their own uniqueness. Say, Rav Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev was filled with love for other Jews. Rav Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the founder of Lubavitch, the founder of the Chabad Hasidus, was the great intellect, the great mind of the Hasidic movement. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov was the poet of the Hasidic movement. A poet, he doesn't speak in prose. He sketches images. He draws pictures. He uses words that evoke emotions. Rabbi Nachman talks directly to the heart with words that evoke emotions. And it's powerful. It's not that the message, the bottom line message, is that different from what you'll find in the Baal Shem Tov or other works, but it's emotional. It's powerful. And I think that Rabbi Nachman was talking to our generation. He was talking to our generation. One of the big controversies in Rabbi Nachman's life was a big dispute with the Shpola Zayda, who was a great Hasidic leader in Ukraine. And the Shpola Zayda was very upset about certain things that Rabbi Nachman said. And in particular, he was upset about the Tikkun HaKlali. So the Tikkun HaKlali was an innovation of Rabbi Nachman. He said, instead of saying all of Psalms, all 150 chapters, say 10 chapters. The Talmud says that the Psalms have 10 types of song. He said, say these 10 chapters that he identified. And each of these chapters is one of those types of songs. So if you say these 10 chapters, it's as if you said all of the Psalms. You've said the 10 types of song that are in Psalms. And through this, Rabbi Nachman said you could fix even sins that, according to the Zohar, cannot be fixed. Now, traditional Kabbalists said that severe failings need, 180 fasts to fix them. And here's Rabbi Nachman saying, 20 minutes of reading Psalms, 10 types of song. So Shpola Zayda said, well, what is this? You're making life too easy for people. So the Satmar Rebbe, Rav Yoel Teitelbaum, said, Maybe the Shmuel Zayda thought it was too easy then, but for us it's the right thing. Rabbi Nachman was talking to our generation.
Beautiful.
If you tell our generation there are certain sins, you're not going to fix them unless you fast for weeks and months, they're just going to give up. Rabbi Nachman says, if you say the 10 types of song, you can fix it. So Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan writes to explain that. Song is a height of joy. 10 is a number of everything, right? 10 statements of creation of the world. 10 commandments, 10 plagues. It's a holistic number. It's a number that includes everything. If you have song on every level, joy upon joy upon joy, you can fix the worst sin. What a message! Here I had a failure. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling down. And Rabbi Nachman says, Zev, get up and start dancing. Dance with abandon, clap, and say, God, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm thankful for the good that I do. And that's going to fix the sin. Then you're going to accomplish even more.
Wow. Amazing. And I use the word radical in the opening. This is like, it's a different thing, but you're right, it's speaking to our generation. I know that there are a lot of texts, I've studied many with you before, but I want to have a little bit of, let's learn some Rebbe Nachman together, if that's all right.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So one of the things that I find so exciting about Rebbe Nachman is that words get a whole new meaning with him. And that's part of the unity. A word can mean all sorts of things. Let's say tzvardeya. We thought tzvardeya means a frog. With Rabbi Nachman, no, tzvar, which is morning, tzafra, deya, of intellect. Morning of intellect. Tzvardeya is a symbol of wisdom. Whoa! A frog is wisdom. Words can mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing with Rabbi Nachman because there's a tremendous unity that creates.
Wait, I want to ask you one question on that, which has always bugged me. I struggle with Chassidut. You know, I know more Musar than Chassidut. For him to do something like that, to find that, is that he's digging deeper, as you would say? Like, what gives one the license to find that? Is that like his Rebbe told him, or like it's prophecy? Like, how can one? Are there rules of the game for what you can pull out from a text?
There are rules of the game, and it comes from, I think, the heart. His heart has a certain very deep truth, and he's seeing that truth in a text.
In the words for a day.
And the text will suddenly reveal that because it's coming from a deep place of feeling, which is almost like a prophetic feeling. It's not even, in the words of my Rebbe, the Stichini Rebbe, it's not a chidush in Torah. A chidush in Torah is a novel inside of Torah. It's a gilui in Torah. It's a revelation of Torah. It's that, wow, this is what my neshama, this is what my soul is revealing.
Wow.
And suddenly there's a new way of understanding what the text says.
Beautiful. What a beautifully inspiring way to think about approaching Torah. Okay. All right, so keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
So the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman's great-grandfather, redefined giving others the benefit of the doubt. So we have a mandate, it's a mitzvah in the Torah, B'tzedek tishpot amitecha. So the simple meaning of that is judge your friend fairly. There's another way to read that. With tzedek, with righteousness, judge your friend, judge him favorably. If you're not sure, did he do the right thing, the wrong thing, give him the benefit of the doubt. That's all the simple meaning. The Baal Shem Tov takes it to another place. The Baal Shem Tov says people are complex. People have good aspects, and they have aspects that are not so good. If I focus on the favorable aspect of my friend, I elevate him. I take the favor that's in him and I pull it out. I bring him in heaven to a world of favor. And he then becomes a better person. To make him better, think of the good in him, look for the good in him, believe in the good in him, and then he'll become that good because you believed in that good. Somebody calls me complaining about a business partner. If I look for the good in that partner, and I believe in that good, and I judge that good, I'm making him into a better person. That was the thought of the Baal Shem Tov. So the Baal Shem Tov said, it says in Pirkei Avos, Al tadin et chavercha, Ad shetagia lemakomo. Don't judge your friend until you arrive at his place. So the simple meaning is, who am I to judge somebody else if I didn't walk through their shoes? I didn't go through what they went through. How can I judge them? But the Baal Shem Tov read it a little bit differently. Don't judge your friend until you get to his place in heaven. Think about where he belongs in heaven. Do you want him to be in the world of criticism? Or do you want him to be in the world of blessings? So when you judge him because you've arrived at his place where you want him to be in heaven, you want him to be in this great place. He's a really great guy. He's a great, great guy. It's wonderful. Okay, some failings, but maybe he means well. He's wonderful. You bring him to that place. You've made him better. You've caused heaven to judge him better. You've caused him to become a better person. So that's the Baal Shem Tov, all about loving others and how to love others. Comes Rabbi Nachman and says, if it's true about others, it's true about each of us. You know, there are many times in life where I'm down on myself. I wanted to do a certain good thing and I didn't. I wanted to achieve certain things I didn't. I'm disappointed in myself. I feel guilty. Says Rabbi Nachman, favorable judgment lifts the object of the judgment to a heavenly place of blessing and gives him new strengths. It's not just when you judge your neighbor favorably or your wife favorably or your son favorably. When you judge yourself favorably, you've elevated your soul to a good place. You've strengthened the good within you. You've made yourself a good person, and now more good can come. So we have to judge ourselves favorably. There's nothing good about me? Is there something good? Did I pray this morning? Did I put on tefillin this morning? Did I learn Torah this morning? Have I done something good? Have I given a little charity this morning? Isn't there something good? That's who I am. The things that I did wrong, that's not the real me. That was the externals. The Baal Shem Tov said his idea on the verse in Psalms, V'od ma'at ve'ein rasha, v'hitbonanta al makomo ve'einenu. So literally it means, and a little bit more, there won't be any wickedness. You look at his place and it's gone. So the simple meaning of that is, wickedness is going to pass. Don't get caught up by it. Don't listen to the pressure. Don't follow the wicked ways. It's all going to pass. You look for him and he's gone. The Baal Shem Tov read it differently. V'od ma'at. There's a little bit within a person that ain't Rasha. There's a little bit within the person that's not wicked. Even a bad guy has some part that's good. V'itbonanta al makomo. When you believe in that little bit that's good, you look there, ve'einenu, the wickedness goes away. Because if you look for the good and you see that good, then the wickedness goes away. Because that's who he is. So Rabbi Nachman says, Baal Shem Tov was interpreting it from the word od ma'at. There's another verse in Tehillim. Azamra le'elokai be'odi. I will sing to God with my existence. But Rabbi Nachman says, Odi is not my existence. Odi is the od ma'at. When I can discover that even within me there's something good, when I judge myself favorably, when I believe in the good that's in me, even if it's a little good, then Azamra le'elokai, I can sing to my God. Azamra le'elokai ba'odi. I can sing to my Creator with the little good that's in me.
I love that. So I think, and you referenced, right? You referenced before the idea of it's a mitzvah to always be besimcha, liot besimcha. Two of his others that come to mind is the idea of ein shum yeush be'olam klal. There's no space for despair in this world at all.
Exactly.
Which is also has some music around it. And then the other famous one I think of, there's many, is kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od. The idea of the whole world is a narrow bridge, and the key is to not cause ourselves to be scared, which also feels like it's in this space of like not giving into fear, not giving into despair, not giving into sadness. There's like a thread here, this idea of finding joy, which you're opening kind of placed it in a world where he was the one who was facing all these challenges, right? He lived such a tough life, and he came out through it saying, don't be anxious, don't be scared, don't give up, maintain your joy.
Yes.
Wow.
Fight for the goodness, and believe in the goodness, and believe in your own goodness. And you know, my father, growing up, had a sign that he had bought in Israel over his desk. It was from a Breslov shop. If you believe that people can make things bad, if you believe it's possible to ruin things, believe that you can fix things. If we believe that things can go bad, we can also believe that things can go good. There's no room for yeyush. There's no room for despair, to give up. There's no room for despair. A Jew never despairs. The definition of a Jew is that we don't give up. And most of all, we don't give up on ourselves. We don't give up on our goodness, and we don't give up on another Jew. Every Jew, deep down, has this wonderful, wonderful quality. And if we believe in it, we'll see it.
Beautiful.
I want to add that Rabbi Nachman says that this is connected to music, because Rabbi Nachman says that music is notes. And, you know, when you look for a note, it's a little dot on a musical score. We have to look for that little good dot. It could be that I look at myself and I'm so disappointed with all sorts of things about myself. I feel guilty and I feel failure, and these are real failures. But there's got to be a dot in there somewhere, which is od ma'at ve'ein rasha, a little bit of me which is not a rasha. There's a dot that's good. Maybe it's as a family man, or as a moment of prayer, a moment of charity, a moment of kindness, a moment of teaching. There's a dot that's good. So the dot is a musical note. And when you can collect all these dots, a little piece of good in me and another little piece of good in you and a piece of good in that person, we can create music. So that's really to have the right perspective. One of the things that Rebbe Nachman says is that a singer, in the Jewish traditional sense, is a chazan. The chazan is the singer. He's the cantor. He sings. And the word chazan is connected to the word chazon, a visionary. He's a visionary. He sees the good where everybody else sees dross. Everybody else sees a mess. And he can see that good point. That's how you create the music. We have to create chumi zimras haaretz. We have to create a song of life, to see the good in ourselves, to see the good in others, and to find the positive, to highlight it, to believe in it, and to lead to simcha, to great joy in life. All sorts of events happen that are difficult. Try to find the good within those events.
How do you become a person of simcha even in times of challenge?
I think there are a lot of approaches. I think that one key piece that I heard from my teacher of Moshe Wolfson is that there is a thought. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch builds his commentary on the Bible on this thought, that there's similarities between the way words sound. So if one word sounds like another word, that means that there's a connection between them, even if they're spelled very differently. So the Hebrew word for joy is simcha. Sin, mem, ches, hey. A word that sounds very similar to that is smicha, samach, mem, yud, chaf, hey. Lismoch sounds similar to lismoach. You would exchange the chaf for the ches, the sin for the samach. Lismoch is to lean on something. If I'm leaning on my Creator, then I don't have a reason to be upset. Bitachon, a sense of trust in God, creates simcha, creates joy. It's a verse in Tehillim. It says in the Psalms, Ki vo yismach libenu, for in Him our hearts will be happy. Ki v'shem kadsho batachnu, because in His holy name we trusted. The two keys are joy and trust. The sense of trust in the Almighty creates joy. And that's such a key point. People Sometimes we get down about an interaction, about a job or a family situation. I think a thought that we can tell ourselves is, God put me in this situation. Mm-hmm. God put me in this job. He put me in this family. He believes in me. So I don't have to be upset about it. Mm-hmm. I know he believes in me. He put me here. He's trusting me. So I trust that it's going to work out. I'm going to succeed in this situation. It's going to be good in this situation. I trust in him.
Beautiful, beautiful. I guess, and we're talking in the personal, but certainly given where the world is today, broadly for the Jewish people, we can extrapolate, I guess, then this idea of, not to have yeush or despair, to lean into simcha, to lean on our trust in God, that good things are going to happen for the world and for the Jewish people.
Definitely. Not only are good things going to happen, good things are currently happening. And I think one of the themes that you'll see in a lot of Jewish literature about challenge and trials is that it could very well be that the challenge itself is a blessing. Sometimes we become arrogant. Sometimes we become, foolish and think that we can accomplish everything. And a challenge breaks our heart. It makes us realize that we need the Almighty's help. It connects us very deeply to the Almighty. It reveals new strengths within us, which may be the greatest blessing. It may be the blessing to have that difficulty. And I think that Rabbi Nachman's message of radical faith, radical trust, radical optimism is very powerful. And to me, that's part of Rabbi Nachman's talk about a tzaddik. A big thing in Rabbi Nachman's Torah is about a tzaddik. And you have to go to the tzaddik, go to the holy man, go to the righteous man, connect to the tzaddik, be attached to the real tzaddik. That's a faith in humanity, that a human being with all of our weaknesses can be a tzaddik. And every person has a little piece of tzaddik inside of him. There are 5 parts to the soul. The 5th part is your part of tzaddik. So we all have it inside of us to be a tzaddik.
Wow.
That's optimism about human beings.
Wow. Beautiful. All right, we're unfortunately out of time. I could go for many more hours. Rabbi Reichman, thank you so much. I'm feeling some joy arising already, and I'm going to have you in my ear when I face those challenging moments to try to lean into the simcha, both by leaning on the trust in God and also by finding the small nekudah, the small good point in the person or in the moment that I'm facing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I hope for all of us that we find the good in the world, the good in others, the good in ourselves, and the unity that unites people, that unites experiences, that ultimately brings us to V'haya bayomahu, it'll be on that day, Yi Hashem echad u'shmo echad. He will be one, and his name, his awareness will be one.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
He named